Hey everybody, Kelly Engineer here, and welcome to episode 15 of Journey Across the Void. In between episodes was filled with disappointment and mess-ups, so let me explain for a little bit. I started the KelleyConstruction episode on building out these wings, and I was all doing it in time-lapse. I had a second account active, and I thought I was doing everything properly. I was using two machines, and it came out looking like garbage. It was choppy and... yeah, I don't know what went wrong. So I was working for about 2 hours and had the time lapse going. And I don't know, maybe CPU resources, maybe graphics resources, I don't know. But it looked like garbage and the footage was completely unusable. So yeah, I'm not very happy about that, but at least I have this done. And after thinking about it, after resting on it, I decided I'm not going to do a KelleyConstruction episode on these three portions because they're basically glorified boxes. There's not really much to, it's not really much to their construction, other than the fact that there is one mess up, and this was the frustrating part I mentioned. Right here is supposed to be the highway running through the Triskelion, but it's wrong. It is completely wrong. I built it as a 1-to-1 scale between the actual Theodore Roosevelt Bridge, but the scale came out wrong. I don't know what happened. This is exactly 37 blocks, which, as it turns out, is a 1 block to 1 meter scale of the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge. I've been building everything as a 2.5 blocks to every meter scale. I don't know how that slipped through. So the highway is not to scale. The rest of it is making me question everything I know about the scale of this building. But that's neither here nor there. That was just one frustrating portion. I tried extending out the wings right here, the wings of the towers, trying to make it match a little bit, and that didn't work because then the scale right here was messed up. So it's whatever. I'm fine with it. There's not going to be a KelleyConstruction episode, but instead we are going to do what I said I was going to do, which is moving all of the mechanism and Nuclearcraft stuff into this wing of the Triskelion. So I've been thinking about how I want to do this, and quite frankly, I'm not really sure. I know that I want to put the reactor somewhere in here, and this line right here is the line between where the highway starts, and it's kind of, I guess it's kind of difficult to explain. So the line that I just showed you is right here, and it shows where the where there's no floor directly beneath that point. So I want the reactor to go right here. But I don't know if that's going to be too far away from the rest of it, because this is a massive structure, and that may not be best. So I may put the reactor right here, because this is going to be a large reactor when all is said and done, both the fusion and fission reactor. So right here may make a little bit more sense rather than putting it right here. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm going to handle that problem today, and then in another episode I'm going to handle actually hooking everything up, because I'm going to be manufacturing diorite andesite, throwing it all through rock crushers. Pretty much everything from Nuclearcraft and Mechanism is going to be automated together, and it's all going to exist in this wing, with the exception of the fusion and fission reactors probably. The room that the reactors are going to be housed in are going to actually look like reactor rooms. So what I've done is I've made a bunch of factory blocks, and I'm going to go through all of the variants using a chisel to see which ones actually work. I've also made a high-tech door from Melissa's, and I've grabbed more iron ingots in order to try to make the reinforced door. I just want to see how those look as well. So I'm not really sure which ones are going to work with which factory blocks. I still have a lot of testing that I need to do. Yeah, that may not be... I guess it could work. But how does the high-tech door look? You know what? For a reactor, that could work even though it doesn't really look like it has the shielding. But that's really not bad, and it takes up a 3 spot. So that's not bad either. Yeah, it takes up 3 blocks, which means I don't have to really worry about the spacing of things. Yeah, I'm going to throw it up with a bunch of factory blocks and see which ones work. So I'm working on it right now, and I found a block that I think works, and it is the factory block with caution-framed plates. And I really do like the look of it. It definitely has a reactor feel to it. I want to actually take some reactor glass and throw it in one of these spots. I'm just not sure which ratio works, and that's what I'm playing around with right now is the ratio. The balance between positive and negative space. Because right now I have 2 on this side and 1 on this side separating for this window, and I like the look of it more than this smaller window. And that may be solved by actually increasing right here. Who knows? Let's try that out. No, didn't really. No, I'm going to stick with this right here. So I'm going to fill this in and remove this, make a whole bunch of reactor glass, and then up here at the top, I love the look of this. It's just going to be a massive window. So I made these high-tech doors really for nothing, but oh, I didn't even show the high-tech doors. They're actually really cool, and they fit the aesthetic well, especially with the caution framed plates. So all you have to do is just click it, and I can enter the reactor room. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be using these hexagonal platings for the entire wall around here. So I'm just going to double everything up. I don't know what I'm going to use for the floor, but the walls will definitely be these hexagonal platings. And it's going to take up, yeah, these 2 floors right here. Now, I know it looks kind of weird right now, but trust me, it's going to look great once the reactors are in. So when I have a full-sized fission reactor, it is going to go in this corner, and it is going to be the full 24 blocks wide. And I'm going to be clearing out these, which is a wireframe factory block, and making it more of a pathway because I don't like how it's taken up the entire floor. And then I'm going to have walkways on the second floor. It's not going to be a full floor like this. It's going to be walkways around the reactor. And I think it's going to look really nice because right now it looks super weird. But I am happy with it, and I've just realized I've focused too much on building in this standard episode. So I'm going to stop and actually start, hooking up all of my machines. So I'll be back with you shortly. So this is honestly not a bad look. What I've decided to do is I'm using reactor glass from Extreme Reactors here because I like the little border that it has with the gray and yellow over here. So I think it matches very well with the caution framed plates, but I've also added a secondary layer here, just to make this more of an exclusion area. So, and after you go inside here, I have the fusion reactor, and then I have the fission reactor. The fusion reactor is of course not on because the fission reactor is not supplying power right now to the electromagnets. This fission reactor is going to be supplying power to the fusion reactor, and that is its only job. I'm going to set up a flux network that will only have these powering the electromagnets. The next thing that I have to do though is I have to automate making fuel for the fission reactor because I've been manually making it and I can't do that anymore. We're actually at the point where, here we go. Oh shoot. Forgot to mention the fact that I ran out of reactor glass. I made a total of 8 stacks thinking that that was enough, and it was not enough, so I have to make a little bit more. But I do like the look of it. I do think it looks kind of professional, if not entirely real-world accurate. But I do like the look of it, so I'm going to get on to automating my fuel for the fission reactor. With the setup that I've got right now, I've replaced the quantum storage unit that was right here for thorium with an ender chest that's running on cyan, white, gray. And yeah, I have it running down into the triskelion. Well, I guess this is technically a triskelion as well. Regardless, I have it running down there, and I'm pretty happy with the machine that I've made. It's pretty compact, more compact than I usually go. I like building my contraptions big. But down here we go. Down here, I have the ender chest running into a fluid inducer. The fluid inducer is taking thorium and oxygen gas. Oh yeah, I also set up an electrolyzer over here. So the electrolyzer is taking water, and it is creating for me hydrogen, deuterium, and oxygen. The oxygen is going into this ender tank and combining in the fluid infuser to make me thorium oxide ingots. The thorium oxide ingots are breaking down in the isotope separator into thorium-232 oxide and tiny clumps of thorium-230 oxide. Let's activate this. So I have TBU oxide fuel, which is better than the TBU. And then I have thorium-230. And really the only reason that thorium-230 exists is to turn it into lead. So I'm not really worried about this. I could probably junk it, but this TBU oxide fuel, once it depletes itself, yeah, right here, depleted TBU oxide fuel. So once it depletes itself and you throw it in the fuel reprocessor, it becomes the uranium-233, which is needed for the LEU, and then tiny clumps of uranium-235. Regardless, I will be making the LEU-233 oxide fuel, which is better than LEU-233. Now, in order to run that, let's go back up to the little reactor chamber that I've made. In order to run that, I have removed the fusion reactor from this location. I have decided that I'm going to put the fusion reactor... Oh, wow, that's terrible. I am going to throw the fusion reactor right here, and it will be running everything else in the base. And yeah, I think I'll like that a little bit more. As such, in my reactor chamber, I have a second fission reactor running. And the second fission reactor only exists in order to use the TBU oxide fuel. When it uses the TBU oxide fuel, it is going to go into TBU fission flux plug, and the TBU fission flux plug will power that contraption way down on the bottom floor, as well as go into this induction casing. This is my main induction casing, and I plan on making it much bigger, but it is going to sit in this little foyer in the reaction chamber. But as you can see, I have a lot of most of this is basic. In between episodes, I made some elite, and I had the advanced at the end of the last episode. So all of that power is going to be going into here or into the contraption down there. And yeah, I'll just siphon it off everywhere else. It'll be great. That's what that's for. Yeah, now I'm going to move on to the next thing. Another thing I neglected to mention is these areas right here are going to be dynamic tanks. So the three fluids I went over before, hydrogen, oxygen, and deuterium, are going to go in these dynamic tanks. And they're going to be pretty massive, but I ran out of steel, so I need to make some more. Between making the casings for the second fission reactor, and I've just been using a lot of steel. So I need to make up some more before I can finish these dynamic tanks, but in the meantime, I have the quantum tanks perfectly doing their job. And I'll just transfer them to the dynamic tanks a little later. For the next leg of our journey, after the fuel has been reprocessed, it's going to create something called Neptunium-237 oxide, which lucky for me can go into decay hastener and make uranium-233. In this crafter right here, I have uranium-233 oxide being crafted, and then combined with uranium-238, which this isotope separator is providing, via this ender chest, and it's hooked up inside... just like how the thorium was. But uranium goes from here to the isotope separator, makes me my 238 and 235, and it goes into the crafter as well. Once I activate it, I have LEU-233 oxide fuel. And the base power generation and the base heat generation may be a problem for me, but I'm going to go try it out. Oh, that is beautiful. It is just enough. So I still have minus 2320 heat per tick. The LEU-233 oxide fuel is definitely going to help me. Let's turn it on, and that is so much RF a tick. Alright, well, what I'm going to use this fission reactor for, like I said at the beginning of the episode, is to only power my fusion reactor electromagnets. And this actually is overkill for it, so I'm going to have to figure out a way. How am I going to do this? I'm going to have to figure out a way to siphon off the excess power so I'm not wasting fuel. I'm going to run a comparator on here to actually stop whenever the power reaches max. So as it turns out, the comparator in a fission reactor can only be used for heat-related things. So the wiki recommends using an RF monitor, which is a fantastic idea. And the RF monitor is going to just turn off the reactor as soon as it... Oh, let's get rid of that. It's just going to turn off the reactor whenever it reaches a certain energy threshold. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to go hook this up right now. I have not used the RF monitor in a very long time, so I am not sure what the interface looks like anymore. I can't even remember, so we're learning it all over again. Seriously, dude. So what we're going to do is I'm going to remove that. Oh, it all went back into my building block, so that's fine. RF monitor right here, vision controller, it recognizes on, and the alarm level is going to be at, we'll put it at 95%. So right now, if I turn it on, huh, that's very weird. So this is kind of some weird behavior and not what I was expecting at all. You see this arrow right here? This arrow denotes where the signal is actually going to be coming from. So I put the RF monitor here, expecting that it would shoot the signal down, but that is not the case. So I selected the fission controller. If it's less than 95%, then I want it to turn on. I currently have no power in here because I just siphoned it all out via this flux plug. Get rid of it. And yeah, even though there's no power, the RF monitor still isn't turning on. So if I use my Yeta wrench to rotate this, there it goes. Now that it's rotated into this configuration and the face of the machine is facing down towards the fission controller, now it's actually working properly. And once this gets to 95%, there it goes. It just turned off. So now that I have some sort of failsafe for this, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't like how it kind of clashes with the rest of the aesthetic, but it works, so I'm going to continue using it. I will never turn this off so long as it is creating me TBU fuel and keeps running to give me some LEU fuel, and now I don't have to worry about it running out. I am happy with my fuel production for my fission reactor. In between episodes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so I have an automatic input and output for my fuel, and I'm also going to add another reactor port right here, same as on the small one, so that I can actually siphon power off to the electromagnets. And yeah, that is one of the things I'm going to do. Also, what I want to do is I want to make down here where my contraption is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, because it is just a row of machines right now. I can move it back one block, and unfortunately, it's the sky right behind this wall. So I want to create another internal wall where only the machines are showing. So I'm going to reconfigure this probably so that all of the machines are just like stacked on top of each other. So I have like 1, 2, 3, and then a blank spot, then a 1, 2, 3, just so it's more pleasing to look at, because a lot more Nuclearcraft contraptions are going to be made in the future. But I am Kelley Engineering, and I'm sorry that this is a very short one, but I was not planning to do any of this, and I have assembled this episode in probably about 3 hours time. So what I'm going to do is, this episode is supposed to release Tuesday. I'm going to release another episode Wednesday and Thursday as well. This is going to be a 5-episode week. And I'm going to name all of them episode 15, because we're just all assembling Nuclearcraft. It's all about automating of Nuclearcraft. But I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.